Hey, welcome back to another video, and today we've got a pretty quick video. It's a follow-up to the last video. The last video was how to buy a house for free, or in other words, how to put zero to little money down on a loan. So we had a question in that video, and I've also gotten more questions that I just want to address. And those questions are, one, how much house can I afford? The next question is, should I take mortgage forbearance? And the next question was, how long is it going to take me to retire? So I wanted to talk about savings rates and the effect that that has on your life. But first, I wanted to make a quick note on mindset. So mindset, there's a good book called The Biology of Belief, and it talks about how our beliefs are at the base of what we do. So what we believe is what we act out. For example, if I were to, walk out this door and, I'm walking left, right, I expect that the ground is going to support my weight. If I didn't expect that the ground was going to support my weight, I probably wouldn't walk. If I thought I was just going to fall down to the center of the earth, I probably would be very cautious about walking. And the walk of life is very similar in that way. If I expect that I'm not going to do well financially, then I'm probably going to act out my life in such a way that helps me not do well financially. If I expect that I'm going to be assaulted, then I will probably act out my life in fear. If I'm consuming fear media, I probably will live my life in fear. So I just wanted to say that one little secret that I have that I've seen in a lot of these Success Secrets books is that things that you believe, and this kind of could be a little controversial, whatever you want to call it, things that you believe, whether it be your religion, whether it be just your own personal belief system, they don't necessarily have to be objectively true. They need to be useful. So that's my little secret there. What I believe is useful, and hopefully my beliefs will become even more useful over time. So anyways, to address the question, how much house can I buy? The kind of standard financial industry answer is 28% of your gross annual income. So in other words, if you make $60,000, $1,400 is what you should spend monthly on total housing expense. So that includes property taxes, that includes HOA fees. If you have an HOA, that includes all of that stuff. So $1,400, how do we get that number? We take $60,000 times 0.28 to make it 28% of your income. We divide that by 12 and you get $1,400. So with an FHA loan specifically, because that is what the person asked about, so we're going to address FHA loan. We've got down here, I've got an example. This is the mortgage calculator from Greystone Mortgage. So we've got sales price, down payment, we've got interest rate, annual taxes, and annual insurance. So private mortgage insurance ranges from 0.55% to 2.25% in the United States. So if you had the lower end and you had a good interest rate, I just got in a 2.75 interest rate. And if you have that interest rate and that mortgage insurance, you can afford up to $226,000, $300 sales price. So if you put down $7,921, as it says there, you'd be able to get into a $226,000 house at that interest rate and at that level of insurance. So that's probably assuming that you have a pretty good credit score. So if you had a worse credit score, I've got another example here. We can see that we can afford a lot less house. So we bumped the interest rate up to 5% and we bumped the private mortgage insurance up to 2.25%. So if you bump that up to get a $1,400 payment, you can only afford $157,900 in house. So it really affects you a lot based on your credit score. So I always advocate for people to start working on their credit, be very credit conscious, despite what some people will say that your credit does not matter. It really does matter because you can afford a lot less house and you will pay a lot more for everything. Having bad credit makes you pay a lot more for everything. So and then in this last example, I got it up to $1,400 and I factored in if you were to buy a townhome or a condo. So I put in a $250 HOA fee, and under those conditions, you can only afford $129,700 worth of house. So as we can see, things like your taxes matter, things like your private mortgage insurance rate matters, your credit score matters for how much house you can actually afford. So if you could only afford $129,700 in house in Washington, that basically means that you can't afford a house. I did actually find one house for $93,000, but it's essentially the amount is the amount for the land. So, and it's way out in the countryside. It basically looks like a little barn or something. But the reason for me putting this all together is just to emphasize the importance of the credit score, the importance of taxes, and let's play a little game. A lot of people want to raise taxes. Let's see what happens if you raise property taxes. So everybody wants to play around with the tax thing because a lot of people, you got to think about people's incentives when they're telling you something. We're going to raise taxes on those property owners. Check it out. When you raise the annual taxes, let's say we put property taxes to 3%, that payment just went up by $189. So in other words, if somebody was right on the verge of being able to afford a house, now because taxes went up, now they cannot afford a house. So taxes have these downstream effects that a lot of people don't see. A lot of people see, rich people getting rich, and they don't see the downstream effects of raising taxes. When we raise taxes, everybody pays for it indirectly in ways that people don't see. For example, like the invisible tax of printing money. Everyone pays for it in ways that we do not see. So I just wanted you guys to see that. And the last thing I wanted to say was just a little note on a savings rate, because I had a soldier come up to me and say, you know what, there's no way that I'm going to retire anytime soon. I believe the soldier's about 35 years old. They said it's going to be, at the very best, it's going to be 15 years, maybe 20 years until they retire. And I just wanted to talk about savings rate and its effect on your retirement. So I'm going to pop this on the screen right now. So if you were to able to save 50% of your income in 14 years, if your investments were generating an 8% return, you'd be able to retire. If you were to save 60% of your income, you would be able to retire off your investments in 11 years. If you were able to save 70% of your income, you'd be able to retire in 9 years. So I just wanted to throw that up and show you guys that if you are able to save a larger percent of your income, which ties in with the whole how much house can I afford, the more of your income that you're able to save, the quicker that you will be financially free, which doesn't mean that you necessarily have to stop working, but it does mean that you don't have to work anymore. So anyways, hopefully you guys liked this video. I hope you guys got some value out of it, out of the tips, out of the mindset, little hacks. What you believe, it does not necessarily have to be objectively true for it to be useful, and I will see you guys in the next video.